High Level is a full CRM and marketing platform, and I've used some of the best in the SaaS industry. And we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We've got our guest LinkedIn and Instagram. Got to click live there, but we are here on WinsDay. Welcome to WinsDay, Revenue Party people. We do have hot topics and some hot guests, so let's get into it. But before we do, I have to mention StreamYard. We are streaming live using StreamYard. It's a third-party tool platform. We have a QR code because I'm an affiliate, because I talk about it and they don't even pay me to do it. But I do get a cut if you sign up and use it. So, here at Reveting, we help businesses go live on LinkedIn. We help them find their guests. We help them come up with the topics, the storyline, put it on podcast, short form video, all the things. But maybe you don't need that full production. Maybe you and your team just want to do it yourself. And if that's the case, we suggest StreamYard because it is a preferred LinkedIn vendor. We all know LinkedIn doesn't love third-party platforms, but you won't get shut down with StreamYard because it's one they suggest, and it's very budget-friendly. So scan that QR code, and if you're listening on audio only, just reach out to me at jessie@reveting.com, and I would love to give you the affiliate link so you can let people know that you heard about it through WinsDay and, help a girl out. We'll get a little cut of that. But yeah, StreamYard's a really great tool. I used Riverside in the beginning, tried Restream, but ended up settling on StreamYard and it never looked back. And the other tool we want to mention is High Level. So if you are looking for a CRM and marketing automation platform that will do you justice in the age of AI, then I would suggest High Level. It's only $97 a month. You get 3 accounts. We've fully embraced it. So we've white labeled it to app.reveting.com, and we use it as an agency CRM and marketing automation platform. That way we can make sure all of the clients we work with have the tools they need to be successful. But yes, let's get right into it tonight. We have some great guests. Welcome to the show. We've got Lisa and Jimmy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm super excited to get this show on the road.
Me too. Yes, Lisa, you've been in the Women Wave community, which is a free WhatsApp group of women who've been connected on LinkedIn. And I believe that's how we got connected. Jimmy, I think we were connected through the PR network on Quoted. And I appreciate both of you coming together, meeting each other for a really great conversation on marketing and AI and being a human. But before we get into our hot topics, could you both tell us your full life story in good old-fashioned WinsDay style? We'll put a 2-minute clock up, and we want to know from birth to what brought you to now. Lisa, could you kick us off?
Sure. Okay, let me get started here. I'm just going to go back to college. I have a degree in marketing. I've done all things marketing for 30 plus years and worked in corporate, did a stay-at-home mom, started my own businesses through all of that. And then I got divorced and had to get, go back to corporate America and get a job, and got fired from 3 different jobs within the last, within a 10-year span. And so finally, at the very end of the last one, I said, screw this, I'm going to take a chance and go out on my own, and started my own marketing agency. And that was in 2019, and I've never looked back. So we started with small businesses and entrepreneurs and kind of drifted into the cannabis sector by accident. Was offered an opportunity to work with a cannabis dispensary, running their marketing, their communication, their social media, their blogs, and decided to niche down in the cannabis industry. And through that, I also ended up acquiring a brand called Hello Again, which is an infused vaginal suppository to support women through their mind, body, and sleep. And that's basically my story.
Wow, thank you for sharing that so candidly and getting through it. I know I love your story, which is why I wanted to have you on here anyway. And I love hearing about the cannabis stuff. That's super interesting. I'm a huge proponent there. But before we get into our topics too, we want to learn more about you, Jimmy. Could you tell us your full life story from birth to what brought you to now?
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll rewind the clock quite a bit. I was digging through some boxes a few months ago and I found this little membership card to Merlin's Mail Order Magic Club. And I flipped over the card and did some quick math. And I was 4 years old and I was hooked. I was doing magic shows for my friends' birthday parties when I was in middle school, getting $25 a show. I was like the mogul of the neighborhood. And then in high school, I met a guy who was an account executive for a Fortune 100 company at an ad agency. And they were looking for a promotional entertainer. And so I got the gig. And for the next 16 years, I was a professional magician. And I got to hang out at the ad agency. And it was kind of at the tail end of those Mad Men days. So it was really cool to see all the campaigns that they were working on. And I just asked a bunch of questions and I thought, you know what, if there's a career that's most similar to a magician, it's in marketing, right? Because you have to capture the attention, you have to hold that attention. And then, the finale of a magic trick is basically the call to action for marketing. So then I really started this dual career where I was doing, like I would go into the agency at 6 a.m., work till 12. I would go to a theme park and do 6 shows with a cast of 20, and that just went on for years. It's kind of the lens that I see marketing through, so it informs a lot of how I see grabbing attention. There's some science behind it, of course. And then, I ran an agency. I'm now at Thrive Internet Marketing. I've been there for the last 5 years. I came to start their strategy department. I believe if you don't have a good strategy, you're going to end up somewhere very expensive and somewhere you don't want to be. And so I'm just fascinated with what's going on with AI. And I know we're going to dig into that in a big way. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That's an amazing story. And you are a magician, literally, as someone else said it in the comments. So this is going to be a great conversation. We're talking about human marketing and AI, and you just met our guests. So let's get into our first topic. Topic number 1 is keeping marketing human with AI. Lisa, could you kick us off on this topic?
Oh my gosh, I'm so passionate about this because I'm sure, as everybody knows, there's a bunch of slop out there, right? And I also think in this AI disconnected world, there are so many ways that we are craving human connection and real, authentic connections. So a couple things that I just want to suggest is, when you're creating content, and look, I use AI every day, all day. It helps me create content. It helps me automate. It provides, research. It does everything. But when you're creating content, that's really where you want to keep it human. So even as automated as I have everything, where it knows my voice, my tone, my message, it has all of my past newsletters and conversations and everything that I've had, it still gets it wrong. And so I think, you have to constantly keep up with what's going on in how it's reviewing everything that you're doing, how it's reviewing your voice, how it's coming across. And the other thing that I would say is video is where it's at, because that's where it's going to keep it human. And I know there's AI video and there's a lot of things that you can't tell the difference, but I posted a video yesterday and I unintentionally had a typo in it. And so that's how you know that it's real, that it's me. I'm not saying go create typos intentionally, but I think that there's ways that you could showcase that it's really you, whatever behind the scenes, like this is my backdrop, with my kids' pictures and my products and stuff. And so I think there's a lot of ways to keep that human connection, and also listening to what your audience is saying, what they're wanting, what they're craving, what they're asking, and providing feedback and answering those questions. Jimmy, I'd love to know more about what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and Lisa, I think you embody the human aspect of what you're doing with your content. Obviously, Jessie and you connected, and so you're living out exactly what you're passionate about. And I think that's the hard thing for people to understand is I don't think there's been a time in my career where being yourself is actually rewarded. A lot of people want to hide behind the logo. The problem is in the definition itself, like the word artificial intelligence. It's artificial, and it's always going to move to the middle of the generic. And so it wants to know your skin knees, your bumps, your bruises, your champagne toasts, the things that you care about, what your point of view is. And what that'll do is it'll actually raise you above the mediocrity of all the slop that we talked about before and give you a personality that, we talk about the tools in creating content, but what's actually happening at the same time is these large language models are actually trying to find who is out there saying something of value. And I think giving people the permission to be absolutely themselves is actually going to benefit them because AI is going to match them up to the perfect customer that is right for them, which is kind of exciting and scary all at the same time.
I don't disagree. I think, authenticity. One of the things that people tell me all the time is that I come across very authentic, which I take that as a huge compliment. But it's not only posting and talking about your wins and all the good things about your brand, your business, your service. It's also talking about the real struggles that you're going through, real life. I'm going to give you a perfect example of today. So I live in Texas. It's a huge heat wave. They're saying like with the heat index, it was like 120 outside. And I have a dog. She's 3 years old, and we walk every morning, literally at 6 a.m. So you would think it would be a little cooler, but no, it was oppressive. And she got overheated and she has some problems, and she collapsed in the middle of our walk. And it took us an extra 30 minutes to get home. Now, let me also say that yesterday I discovered I had a leak in my bathroom. So today I had somebody come in and rip apart my bathroom. I had workers in and out all day long. It was just really a stressful day. And then on top of that, I'm trying to work and, create content and all this stuff. So I posted about it because it's real, it's authentic. And that's what I'm talking about, is just keeping the wins, keeping the losses, and sharing. People connect with humans because they could relate to what you're saying, what you're doing, what your actions are. And they want to connect with that. They want to feel that with you.
Yeah. And you move straight into story, and people remember stories more than they remember data and numbers. And, I guarantee you the listeners are out there going, you know what? I've had a similar experience to that. And I wonder what kind of dog she has. And wow, I can put myself in that position. And, they sort of have this theater of the mind where they're playing this scenario out in their head, and that's going to be memorable.
Right. And story is, like, I'm sure Jessie and Jimmy, I mean, if you're not storytelling in marketing of any kind, there's no human connection. And that's where I feel like AI fails. It's whenever I send a newsletter or create a post or anything I do, I always add a human element, some kind of something that happened to me. So I let it tell the story of me, and that's where you connect.
Definitely. 100%. And I love live streaming, and it's partially because it keeps it real. Like, you're going to see our imperfections. You're going to hear our ums. You're going to see our weird movements. And another thing I like to do on TikTok is makeup tutorials, because a lot of the time here on WinsDay, I have a bunch of makeup on, and it's fun for me, but this isn't what I look like. So I'm also willing to show the fun, and I try to sell makeup on TikTok as well. So that goes along with it. But I was thinking about that as I was doing it tonight, and the goal isn't to try to, I don't know, look 25, but the goal is to make 25-year-olds want to be 40. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think there's something authentic about being real, and it makes people want to connect with you. And it's super important, especially like you said, in the world of AI. But in terms of keeping marketing human with AI, what would be your actionable tips for founders, marketers, anyone out there who's trying to be visible, before we switch gears to the next topic, Lisa?
I kind of already said it, but when you're creating content, feed it your actual stories and if it can produce content that's better, better at storytelling than what you could say, then that's great. But I always try to lead with a story so it connects whatever I'm saying back to me as a human.
Yes, people have been telling stories for so long. Well, let's get into AI search as the new referral. And also, if you're tuning in, make sure that you leave us a question or a comment and join the conversation with us. We can pull it right up here on the screen, and we can read it here out loud. So we want you to join the conversation. Let us know what it is you do, so that we know who we're talking to. Where are you tuning in from? And just let us know you're here by leaving a comment and joining the conversation. But topic 2 is Jimmy's topic. Jimmy, can you kick us off on AI search as the new referral?
Yeah, this is a tricky one because, a lot of business owners sort of have this pride that they get all their business through referrals. And I would say that's changed a little bit. And I'm not discounting the fact that referrals are probably the highest converting way for businesses to get new business. It also is a testament to the work that you've done, and somebody cares enough to pass your name along to somebody else. So I completely agree with that. The situation that we're in right now is that's not the complete picture. And so what happens when someone gives a referral to your business? It used to be that you would just call them up, schedule an appointment, and that was it. The referrer's name was the word, and it just followed through to the sale or the appointment, or whatever the sales funnel looks like. What's happening now, and I think an indicator of this is last year, Google search ended, 60% of Google searches ended in 0 click. And so you go, what? How is that possible? What's happening? Well, on that search engine results page, you've got AI overviews, you've got featured snippets, you've got knowledge panels, you've got AI mode. And it used to be that you would get 10 blue links and you would choose which link to pick. People are getting the answer from what is summarized on that search engine results page. The other thing that's happening is people are going to ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and Grok and Perplexity and Copilot, and they're asking questions. And the question they're asking when they get a referral is, who is this company? Who is this person? Who's the owner behind this? And what happens when somebody does that? Why do they do that? Well, their name is on the line, right? And so if somebody in the organization has been given a referral and they're supposed to call that person, they want to make sure that they're legit, because the owner, the CFO, a board member is going to ask the question, why them? And so they want to corroborate that that referral is actually worth following through on. And so if there's no information about the company or the owner, in those AI overviews, the large language models then the referral stops there. They never get the call. And so where an owner may think, I get all my business through referrals, they're not seeing the ones that never end in the communication to take it to the next step because they're basically invisible, or there's no corroboration online about the fact that they're a legit business, they have good reviews. And I think that's something that owners and businesses and marketing experts really need to take a close look at, because it is the new way that referrals are happening and being verified. And that's the power of AI, is to be able to connect those dots and to understand whether a business has got the credentials to give somebody the trust and the confidence to move forward.
Definitely. What's your take on all of this, Lisa?
So a perfect example is tomorrow I have a call with somebody that I don't know, and it was a referral. Sorry, I have a little tickle in my throat. But anyway, I'm going to put myself on mute for a second.
No problem. I have to do that every once in a while as well. So we'll give
So
her
sorry.
a moment. Yeah, no, take your time.
The beauty of live theater here.
Right. Yeah, talk about authentic. Anyway, I have a call tomorrow, and I went to Claude and I said, do some research on this company, on this person. Tell me everything that they do, and how legit are they, etc. So to your point, Jimmy, if your information is not already out there, I mean, I might not have taken the call. I might have thought it was a scam or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And I could see where people would question this too, because I know a client that we just recently started working with was a referral. And I've gotten other clients, or Revening has, through referrals. People talk. But social media, I would say too, is like another, and dark social is another place where people are getting referrals. But I don't know, can you talk to us a little bit more, Jimmy, about how to become the referred via AI?
Yeah. So there was an acronym that Google sort of coined around 2016. They updated it around the early 2020s, and the acronym is EEAT. And it stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And so the AI engines picked up on this. And so that's what they're evaluating. And so there are a lot of things that go into that. And so if you just go down that list, how can you, and there's another factor that AI loves people instead of logos. And so it's much easier to triangulate a person's experience, their expertise, their authoritativeness, and their trustworthiness. But for a company, how aggressive are you about seeking reviews? There is a sentiment about you online. It's either positive, negative, or non-existent. And so I'm sure we've all purchased goods and services where the first thing we do is we go read the reviews, right? How engaged is the company in responding to the conversations about those reviews? There's research that says a bad review is actually good, because everything can't be rainbows and lollipops for everybody, right? And so we've gotten used to understanding the context of how a review comes in, and we decide if we agree with it or not. The other thing is, what are the breadcrumbs that you're leaving around the internet that show your expertise and experience? Anybody can put on their website that they're the best at what they do, but AI is looking for third-party corroboration. Has there been a story written about you? Do you belong to an association? Are you credentialed? Have you spoken at an event? Are you a member of the Chamber of Commerce? Is there a Better Business Bureau report on you that's positive or negative? And so there are all of these things that is different than a traditional keyword search that sends you to a landing page for traditional SEO. It's basically piecing together these dots to form a picture of who you are. If there's not enough information out there, AI has to make the picture. And so it may make a picture of the wrong person if they have a similar name to you. I do have an analogy I like to use with information on the internet. It's like a pizzeria. So about every 3 to 6 months, AI goes out. These large language models spend a tremendous amount of money, and they do their training data. And so they get to the end of the internet where it says, do not go any further. And so they catalog all that and put that in the pizza dough, and they wrap that up in the refrigerator and they put it in the freezer. And so when somebody asks a question, and that's a term you may have heard of, is AEO, or answer engine optimization, they want an answer to that question. So, Lisa was talking about, she wanted to know who this person is, put a profile of the company. She wants to know the answer, right? We have answer engines with Siri and a Google Home device, and you may have an Alexa device. And so obviously these large language models are answer engines, and they want to go out and they fan out and they look at all of these things. And so when somebody asks that question, they pull that pizza dough out. And if there's no information about you, it's a pretty thin crust pizza, but it has to make the pizza because that's what it does, right? But there's also these pizza toppings that need to go on the pizza. And so if you didn't make the training data, then perhaps you're in the pizza toppings, the pepperonis and the mushrooms and the green peppers. And so they exist all around the internet in the examples that I just said. YouTube transcripts, LinkedIn articles, Reddit comments, Medium articles, any sort of PR that's been done. Maybe you were featured on the local news. I'm sure Lisa has quite a list of things related to her product that corroborate who she is, that she's the expert, and this is a legit product. And so, yeah, if you think about it in that way, there's some simple things that you can do over the next 60 to 90 days that will make a huge difference.
And you have to create that authority and build, and you have to start somewhere. Even if you're going to say, look, I'm just getting started. Well, you have to start somewhere. You have to start building authority and credibility, posting, connecting, getting on podcast, hosting podcasts, getting on lives, getting somehow featured in articles, showing up at live events. Like you said, Jimmy, the Chamber of Commerce, networking events. I spent the last year and a half traveling all over the US, connecting with women for wellness events to, showcase my brand. I go to cannabis events, there's like 3 or 4 a year that I go to just to continue to build my network and that credibility. So it's so important. You have to start somewhere, and it just builds from there.
Absolutely. Oh, there's so much juice here. I want to get into it, but also we have a lot of comments coming in, and I want to make sure to get to some of them. If you are just now tuning in, you've come to a really great part of the conversation. Let us know you're here by leaving a comment where you're tuning in from. But if we could get some of those good questions that have been coming in back up on the screen, then I'll read them out loud and we can kind of get into it. So we've got Chris P here. If someone could give him a tag in the comments, let him know we're getting into his question here if he's not still here. Or Chris, if you're here, let us know. But hi, I am Chris. He says, I have a background in AI. I currently work in medical devices. How do you feel about these AI organizations missing their earnings targets by up, I'm guessing, to 90% in a largely circular economy that is also causing serious harm to the environment when we are now up to 105 million Americans unemployed? Lisa, Jimmy, any thoughts here?
I mean, if you listen to Elon Musk, he's going to say, like, the world is all going to be taken over by AI and nobody's going to have a job. I truly, who's going to run your AI, right? You have to have humans. And going back to what I said a while back is you have to have that human connection and that human interaction. That is what we are craving as people on this planet. So, it's a tough question to really answer other than to say, I truly believe, this is my optimistic attitude, is that AI is not going to take over. It's not going to take over the jobs like we think it is. And we have to just, continue that human connection.
Yeah, I'll weigh in. I think a lot of people are trying to figure it out. And a lot of good decisions are being made and a lot of bad decisions are made. One of the things in our industry in marketing that's happening is a lot of the entry-level jobs, which I think is happening in other industries, are being eliminated because those functions sometimes can be done by AI, and sometimes we learn the decision-making process that's required in those entry-level jobs builds the intelligence and the decision-making for higher level decisions later on. When I started out, I had a creative director standing over my shoulder telling me how to kern type and what was a good layout balance and color theory. And when I went to a printing company and did a press check at midnight, how to get the color right on the press. And so, yes, there are printing presses that will do that. There are programs that will do that. But I think what we're going to see is a rebound over the next few years where people have cut that learning curve, and they're going to end up with some folks that don't know how to make decisions, have not understood how things fit together. And that'll just be the price that's paid as we're in this transition period of, we think it's going to be that, it's not going to be that. You talked about the earnings. I remember the dot-com days, and it all fell apart, right? Because things were overvalued. There's probably going to be some of that happens. I don't think we have a crystal ball, but we can see the writing on the wall. So I would say I'm also optimistic, as Lisa is. I'm always, if this is Whiskey Wednesday, the whiskey glass is always half full, not empty. And to me, there's a lot more positives than negatives. We just have to understand that we're going to have to weather the storm a little bit and be encouraged and learn from other people, and have platforms like this where we can share, encouragement and information to help people make better decisions in their companies.
Yeah, I mean, there is no crystal ball, right? We don't know. And we don't even know if the numbers are accurate or the truth, right? I say, question everything and believe nothing. That is just literally my motto, because we don't know.
Yes, this is so good. Thank you both for sharing that. And thank you everyone who keeps who are keeping the comments flowing. Let's see, were there any other good questions that came up? Because that one was super juicy. And then we'll take one more good one before we get into our quick break. But let's see, I'm going to help go through it. Who's got a good question? I mean, there's just been a lot coming through. I don't know if our producer in the background has one in mind, but let's see. I'll just pull up one of these.
Give us a good one, Jessie. Come on.
Yeah, let's see. Here we go. Oh, Glenn, are you referring to the possibility of Claude consciousness?
Ooh, I just read that article today.
Go for it, Lisa. What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you go into Claude and you see it like thinking, visioning, like it's doing all these things. And the article just said, does Claude have a conscious, is it conscious? And I mean, look, it's AI is fed by all of our human information that we're feeding it, right? But no, it doesn't have a conscious. I mean, it's AI, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to know, what do folks in the comments think about all of this? And real quick, while you're telling us, we'll bring those up here in just a moment, but we will be right back before we get into our third topic. Tonight, our third topic is building a personal brand. So if you hear, you need to be human, you need to build a personal brand. We're going to talk more about that right after these brief messages. At Reviting, we help B2B founders, executives, brands turn their live streaming into a real revenue channel. One live stream turns into a podcast. It turns into a social clip. It turns into email content like a newsletter and actual sales conversations. You get to have a lot of conversations with people when you have a podcast or a live stream like this. And if you want to be known, trusted, and remembered in your industry, without being online 24/7, worrying about your posting, this is what we do. Just head on over to Reviting.com and let's build your show.
I want to give a quick testimonial for the Reviting team. I was really nervous about doing lives. They very much have helped me increase my reach and online presence. So thank you, Reviting.
I love what you and the team do. I've been picking up 50 followers a day just because that content is resonating so well. It's working across a lot of different channels for me.
One of the problems that we struggle with is getting our brand out there. her team have been able to do for us is the idea of going live on LinkedIn and using that platform to its fullest extent through the way they're able to take the live event and break it down into bite-sized posts, video clips, and as well as the content within the posts themselves.
This is Mike, also known as Clean with Mike on Twitter. Mike hired a virtual assistant from Cherry Assistant about 2 years ago. Now he has a $50K per month business fully managed by a remote operator in South Africa. His VA from South Africa does the following: closing inbound leads on the phone, Yelp and Google and Facebook, manages his CRM on Go High Level, deals with rescheduling, cancellations, any issues, hires and manages the cleaners, and sends them daily reports and updates. Mike has a fully cash flowing business managed by a remote operator for only $8 an hour. You can also hire a US equivalent worker in the Philippines, South Africa, Latin America for a fraction of the cost with Cherry Assistant. Be like Mike and grow your business with offshore staff.
Cherry Assistant has lots of offerings. You should definitely check that out. There's a QR code on the screen. If you mention that you heard about them through WinsDay, you'll get $250 off your first month. So why not just let them know? But now we're going to be getting into our third topic. Keep those questions, comments coming in. Where are you tuning in from? What is it that you do? What questions, comments do you have? Keep us honest here, and don't be afraid to disagree with us. We want to know what you really think. Like, let's hear your real human thoughts, not your AI thoughts. Building a personal brand. Lisa, can you kick us off on this topic?
Yes, and I'm a perfect example of why you should build a personal brand. Okay, so let me back up and say, like, a year ago, nobody knew anything about me owning a CPG company, which is Hello Again. And I had to start connecting and start really building up authority, like I talked about a while back. And if people just connected with Hello Again, there's no human authenticity to it. So hired a coach, a business coach, and all of the goal was to create content, and get myself out there as much as possible. So let me back up to February of this year. I happened to post a video on TikTok about vaginal cannabinoids, and it went viral. 1.7 million people saw that actual video, and they connected with it, right? Because I'm human, because they're asking questions, because I'm answering them, because I'm building a personal brand. And if you go look at anybody in any business, nationwide, worldwide, people connect with people, not with brands. They connect with the brands on the side, but it's really the human connection, because they want to know your story. They want to know what you're thinking. They want to see the ins and outs. They want to see the behind the scenes. And if you're not building that personal brand, then you're not connecting with your audience. So your brand is not going to show up and tell a story about how your dog collapsed. Your brand is not going to show up and tell a story about, going through a divorce, or it's that connection. And I kind of already said this before, but people relate to people because through storytelling, because they could see themselves in that story. So they might say, yeah, I saw a comment on here that said, I'm a fellow divorcee, or whatever the comment was, but they connect, right? So that's how human brands are built. And that's why it's so important. And also, when you're responding as a brand, it's very on brand, right? You have to make sure that you're saying answers or topics related to what your brand would say, what your brand looks like. But as a human, as a personal brand, I could answer in any way I want to. I could say anything I want to. I posted a video yesterday that had a typo in it. It's that human connection that people are going to relate to.
Yes, typos are part of the goal these days. You just look more human. So I have a lot to add here because what we do here at Riveting is help businesses go live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X, all the channels. And then we repurpose that into podcast, short form video. But a lot of the time, it allows the brands to just be real and authentic with their audience, but also the guest who appears on the show. So, I don't think deep fakes can quite do what we're doing here tonight yet. So it is a way to, be real. And then also that part in the beginning where we want to hear the story, the real life you, it helps people connect with people because, again, storytelling, like you said, Lisa, I think I've said it on the show so many times, but stories have been told for so long. We've put drawings on caves and, there's all these religious documents that have guided generations. Stories are super powerful. So I think we all know, myself included, we all need to go back and think about our own story. Like what elements make a story? Who's the villain? What's the conclusion? Like think of all the parts of a story, the characters, and develop it. And yeah, I love to help to do that and do that with founders. But Jimmy, before I share any more about how building a personal brand, this is something that you are the VP of, is it branding communications, or what is the title?
VP of brand communication. Yep.
Branding communication. So you know a thing or two about building a brand, and building a personal brand has, become a big part of that. What is your take on all this?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I wanted to ask Lisa, tell me the backstory of your product and why you're passionate about getting the word out.
So it is a vaginal suppository infused with cannabinoids for women to support them through, all areas of their life, mind, body, sleep. So here's my story. Since I was, became a woman and started having menstrual, had periods, I've had lots of issues throughout my entire female wellness journey. And the whole time I was told we need to do surgery or have a pill or you need to go see another doctor. And nobody looked at me as a whole person to get to the underlying problems. Also, nobody really looked at what was missing in my body, what could support it. And so I'm passionate about women's wellness. I'm a certified menopause coach. I research women's wellness every single day because I want to share my story with other women so that they could relate and make decisions for themselves. And I also just want women to have options right now. Hormone replacement therapy is all over the place. Women are being shamed for not being on hormone replacement therapy. And there was a whole article, I believe, in the New York Times recently that said, there's a whole group of women that are taken out of the menopause HRT conversation because they don't want to take it. So that's my story.
So the reason I ask that, number one, is because I'm interested. Number two, it's a textbook lesson in what a personal brand is. There's a misconception out there that a personal brand is self-serving and look at me and look at me. Probably 90% of what Lisa just said was her passion to help other people. And so if you truly believe your product or service, and Jessie, you mentioned the villain. Every brand has a villain. Every story has a villain. If you truly believe that your products or service is the best option, it is your responsibility to save them from the villain, those other opportunities. And so that is really the subtext behind a personal brand that is going to be authentic, that is going to be more of a servant leadership type of brand. It's interesting. We started seeing the writing on the wall with AI about 18 months ago, understanding the power of a personal brand. The founder of our company, Matt Bowman, he has a heart for helping all businesses, but he said, we need somebody to go out there and talk about all the things that we've learned over the last 20 years. And I'm not going to be that person. So Jimmy, it's going to be you. And so initially I was like, what? And then I was, okay, I got to figure this out. So I tried a bunch of stuff last year. And I will say the first couple of months in my head, I'm thinking, how do I sound like the founder? I'm not the founder. I'm not the owner. Am I playing a role? And then I said, you know what? This is stupid. I just need to be myself. And so I started talking about my magic background, the science behind communication, all of these things, because I truly believe we're in this era where we have this opportunity to explain exactly what's in our heart and in our soul and make business a way to express how you can change the world, your community, the person down the street, whatever that case may be. If you think about digital marketing, oh yeah, that's not, well, no, businesses need to grow their business so they can pay their employees, so their employees can have money in the bank account to buy a home. So all of these things are like a domino effect as we go. And so the more passionately you can communicate that, and the more you can magnetize an audience to you to support your mission, that's really what a personal brand is. And so when I get on a podcast, I might do a magic trick. I'll talk about various things. And so people are interested in learning more about that. And it feels natural for me to talk in that way. And then I layer that on to communication and marketing, whatever that might be for that particular organization. And it feels natural. And so that is the best personal brand pathway that you can start to break apart. We could do a whole episode on that, but yeah, thanks, Lisa, for bringing that topic up.
Thanks for letting me share. I knew where you were going with it, but I'm very passionate about my brand and about helping women in a more holistic, natural way. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, that's really great. And I encourage you to share that story more too in the Women Wave community. I don't know, maybe you already have, but
I don't think I have, but I will.
Yeah, awesome. I think there'd be some interest there. It's super interesting. And I know there's some other women in there who are focused on menopause as well. So it might be interesting. Maybe we have a menopause conversation here.
Right. I mean, look, I'm a 58-year-old postmenopausal woman. I am my brand, right? Like, there's no other person, just me. So that's why people relate, because I could tell story after story about what has happened to me.
Yeah, you are your brand. You are the personal website of you. It's, it's so important, but I want to hear more from the audience as well. We have some really great topics tonight. What are all of your thoughts? I know I've seen a couple more questions and comments come in. So Nina saying, if you are presenting something super technical, does describing a trying personal experience, for example, help build your brand? I've heard conflicting opinions. Lisa, what are your thoughts?
So I'm assuming that you're asking the question of tying a personal experience to a technical, if you're trying to describe something super technical. I would say the simplest, easiest way that you could communicate something super technical, 5th grade level, the better. And if that means tying a personal experience into it, and if that allows you to keep it super simple, then by all means, tie a personal experience. Tie a personal experience, because people love metaphors. They love explanations. They love how things relate. I'm all about tying experiences into something super technical or non-technical.
Yes, definitely. So such a great conversation. Let's get into our final topic, which is why invisible founders lose deals. I love this topic. And I believe this is your topic, Jimmy. Can you set the stage for it?
Yeah, I'm going to try not to jump out of my chair and wave my arms in the air, because this really dovetails nicely off of our last topic about a personal brand. I talk to a lot of business owners. The first thing they want to do is hide behind the logo. They don't want to be out in front, whether it's being uncomfortable, whether it's, I don't want to be in the spotlight, whether there's a million different things, right? And so hopefully the last conversation talked about, if you truly believe that your product or service is the best, that you should be out there. But there's actually a number associated with it. I said I tried a lot of things last year, and about Q3 of last year, I said, I don't think I'm the only one who's out there trying to get some visibility in a positive way for their business. And so I studied 400 businesses across 5 verticals, spread across the US, most of our businesses in the US. None of them were our clients. I didn't want there to be any bias. And I wanted to make sure that some principal person within the organization was identifiable, whether it was the founder, the CEO, some subject matter expert. I really wanted it to be someone in the C-suite or the founder or the owner. And I studied traffic to the website year over year. There was a lot of volatility in traffic from January 2025 to January 2026. I also looked at those industries, and I wanted to know what percentage of their business came through the web, because I didn't want that to be biased. And there was quite a variance related to that. And I also looked at some corroborating studies outside of the one that I did to make sure. And you might think 400 businesses, that's not a lot. Actually, it is, because the more data you have is sort of a little too much. At 400 businesses, there's a 95% statistical reliability with about 4.5% margin of error. So that gave me a lot to work with. And out of those 400 businesses, 46% of the business owners were invisible. And you might go, oh, okay, that's fine. The company will carry it. Well, we talked about 60% of searches in Google ended in 0 click last year. And then Gartner has come out with a study that this year, 25% of organic search will drop by 25. And then in 3 years, it'll drop by 50%. And I promise I'll bring this home in a second here. Search Engine Journal did a study with LinkedIn that said if an executive posts on LinkedIn 10 times a year, not a month, not a week, a year, their referral base will increase 3 times and the deal size will be 3.7 times larger. There's also a study that says in a B2B environment, if someone reads something that an executive wrote, the deal will close quicker within a 90-day period and at a higher rate. And so I took all of this data, I pulled it together, and I said, okay, what's going to happen over the next 3 years? And so there were 2 different size businesses. One was a $7.5 million business. The other one was a $24 million business. Over the next 3 years, now there was a data point in there where if the owner and the business were visible, traffic increased year over year 2.5%. If both were invisible, traffic dropped 28.1%. That's a 30-point gap. And that's going to continue to compound over the next 3 years. And so for that $7.5 million business over the 3-year period coming up, there's a $5.6 million gap. You're either going to get some of that 5.6 million, all of it, or you're going to lose it. So let's say that you gain that 5.6 million because you do everything right. The owner or founder contribution to that 5.6 is $2.8 million. It's a multiplier. Visibility of the owner transfers to the business at a higher rate than it does for the business itself. For that $24 million business, that gap is $18 million. They stand to gain or lose over the next 3 years. The owner contribution is $8.6 million. And so where we may have thought that personal brand is just a fluffy metric and a nice to have, there is a real dollar value associated with visibility or invisibility.
Wow. All those stats.
I'm just going to add on to that just a little bit because you said it increased 2.5% year over year with both the brand and the founder / owner being visible. I mean, we are right there. We're a little bit over that 2.5%. We post and we're visible as a brand, and we post and we're visible as me. I'm going to give you another perfect example. I have a video going viral right now on TikTok, and I just happened to go look at our traffic, and it's increasing. The sales are increasing. The orders are coming in. I don't know, that's perfect proof right there.
Oh, you got to love TikTok.
Gotta love it.
That's great. So, I mean, well, you're going to have to share your TikTok handle. But wow, those stats are really impressive. Jimmy, I'm guessing you put a lot of these stats and evidence in this research that you're doing out there somewhere. Is there a place that people can find a lot of what you're talking about? Do you have a
Yeah.
newsletter?
Well, I have the full report. It's 21 pages. It shows the research methodology. It has all the numbers. You can get it for free. It'll cost you your email address, but then you get 5 days of lessons on how to do better at all of this AI stuff. And so just go to businessvisibilityindex.com. And then actually I've written a book. It's just come out. It's called Uninvisible. It's on Amazon. And it layers in some things that you can do. It's a short read. It was meant to be read in one or two sittings. So yeah, those are two places I could point you to.
Yes, yes. And I see a comment from Kenneth coming in saying, David Goki, Chris Pinadella claims New Jersey has the most delectable, scrumptiously delicious, edibly tasty, good, heartfelt pizza in the region. I know the comments are going off about pizza.
Yeah, that analogy gets everybody hungry, especially late at night here. So
yeah, I think it might be pizza hour for many of us. So where are you all going to go get some pizza? It sounds like some of us already know, but wow. I mean, this is the conversation more founders really need to hear. The cost of being invisible isn't just missed impressions. It's measurable revenue that compounds over time, especially when you consider all those stats you shared. Those are awesome. I try to put together stats every week as well in reveting.com/newsletter. We have a newsletter that goes out. I have my research that we'll go through there, and we'll try to find, evidence that about like AI marketing, B2B marketing, specifically video, live streaming. So if all of that is interesting to you, we also talk about this show, the upcoming guests, last week's guest, recap the show. But reveting.com/newsletter will help you subscribe there. But when you connect with the research to what businesses are actually experiencing, it gets harder to dismiss what is actually happening, especially here on LinkedIn, where you just need to make, 10 posts a year.
yeah.
And it makes a difference for you. But the human behind all of this credibility, it accelerates trust, and that's the multiplier here. So how would you wrap up this topic, Jimmy?
Well, I don't want to overwhelm people, but I will say, again, going on the optimistic side of things, the bar is on the floor. We talk about LinkedIn. There's 1 billion people on LinkedIn, 2% post. Like, that's crazy. Mostly lurkers. Just put together a plan, break it down. You don't have to do everything. Figure out how you communicate. Lisa, I would agree with her. Video last year was the most consumed asset on the internet. So you've got $1,000 camera in your pocket. If you're a business owner, and okay, it's Whiskey Wednesday, let's say it's Taco Tuesday next week, go to a local business, put the phone on the table. Make sure you're not backlit. Make sure you have good lighting, and just go, hey, it's Taco Tuesday. I'm down here at my buddy's place. Hey, come over here. Your local folks are going to recognize that venue. Talk about something. We're on Zoom all the time. Get a colleague or a friend or a buddy. Y'all get on a Zoom call and talk about what's going on in the business. Post that to YouTube once a week. Like, it's just a natural conversation. Like, it doesn't have to be rocket science. We're just having a good time. We're just hanging out. You could do that with some friends and colleagues on your own. So yeah, I would say break it down, get a plan together, and start seeing the benefits. The cool part is traditional SEO can take 3, 6, 8 months to get traction. Some of these AI things, you can see visible results in 30, 60 days. So the best time to start was 18 months ago. The second best time is tomorrow.
Right.
Yep. I see you nodding. Anything you want to add there, Lisa, before we move on?
I just want to say that get started and be consistent. And it doesn't matter if you shift or if you change topics. I used to talk about marketing all day, every day. And I talk about women's wellness now, and they don't relate at all. But that's just where I shifted into. So it just be consistent. Yes, I am 58. Yes, just be consistent and start posting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I want to compliment
Tag the three of us so that we know that you posted.
Yeah, I want to compliment Lisa for all of her viral posts, but the cool thing is you don't have to go viral. AI doesn't really care how many followers you have. It just wants the content to be able to triangulate who you are. So consistency, I would agree with that, Lisa.
Yeah. So good. Such a great conversation. I hate to wrap it up. If anyone has any last comments, questions, concerns, debate items, favorite pizza they want to drop in the comments, please do. We also want to know, what is it that you do? Please introduce yourself in the comments. We'll put it up here on the screen. So here's your time to shine. Chris P, you're super popular here tonight. Like, what's the story behind Chris P? I want to connect with him too if we're not already connected. But anyway, before we wrap up, we still need to get to our special segment that we have a special clip here for the guru of the week. Ooh, the guru of the week. Ooh. Okay, so we just got inspired by both of you. Who inspires you here on LinkedIn? Who walks the walk and talks the talk and does all the things that makes you excited and makes you want to go comment and like and read their stories? Lisa?
So, I'm in the cannabis world. Seth Yakatan is also a friend of mine and a colleague that's in the cannabis space. So I would say go follow him and go connect with him.
Nice. And how about you, Jimmy? Who's your guru of the week?
Yeah, I get a sense that all of us on the call are probably learners, and we've probably taken a lot of courses and done cohorts and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really suspicious these days. And so I was a little suspicious of signing up for Chris Donnelly's Creator Accelerator. But oh my gosh, amazing. Really got me off of square one as far as LinkedIn. He owns a bunch of businesses, but the thing that really got me was it wasn't fluff. He's not a LinkedIn influencer, and that's all he does. He owns businesses, and all the training was basically geared towards business related content. And so, yeah, I would give a shout out to him.
Amazing. And if you're here in the comments, tag those people in the comments. Hopefully we have the spelling of their name correctly, but man, this has just been such a great conversation. Keep the comments flowing, because before we go, we want to know a little bit more about Lisa and Jimmy, who it is they serve, how they serve them, and if any of us can be served by them, how do we reach them? Jimmy, can you let us know?
Yeah, well, it's Thrive Internet Marketing Agency. We're a full service digital marketing agency, and we work with all industries of all sizes. So mom and pops all the way up to multi-location, franchise, enterprise. So yeah, I would say if you're struggling with any of this, happy to have a conversation and help you out. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on LinkedIn posting 5 days a week, and you can DM me there, and happy to chat and help you out or point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. And how about you, Lisa?
So for the TOKE agency, we run brand strategy and communication, email marketing for dispensaries, anywhere from a mom and pop dispensary to an MSO, and it's thetokeagency.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. And then for Hello Again, it's helloagainproducts.com, and specialize in women's wellness in the cannabis sector or the CBD sector. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it's simply Lisa Williams. And then I also have a YouTube channel with long form content, and it's Hello Lisa Williams, because YouTube wouldn't let me use simply Lisa Williams. So there you go.
Interesting. There must have already been a Simply Lisa Williams out there. Who knows? But also, if anyone wants to join on WhatsApp, we've got a free WinsDay community for men and women who are growing on LinkedIn or interested in this show, just fans, want to be connected. We've got past guests there. But just reach out, send me a DM, and I'll get you into the WinsDay winners. Or we've got the Women Wave, which, sorry, gentlemen, but it's for the ladies only. Lisa's in there with me. But if you are a woman growing on LinkedIn, you're in sales, marketing, or business ownership, we'd also love to have you there. You can send me a DM. I'll give you the link to get in there. But that wraps up the show. Thank you both so much for being here. I'm going to see you both backstage, but everyone else, hope to see you back here next week. And if you like this episode, be sure to go binge us on your favorite podcast platform. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Just search WinsDay. It's WINSDAY because you are a winner for being here. And that's what we do, is win. But that wraps up the show. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you here next week.